I'm going to try and be brief and take you through the Itron holistic approach for non-revenue water that affects all utilities, not just in Africa but globally. The first slide, I think it's taken from a global source, and it's information probably common to most of us in the room this morning, that only 4 out of 7 people are connected to water systems globally. The apparent losses segmentation, as per the previous slide, 34% of all losses are made up of apparent losses. I want to focus on the meter inaccuracies and data errors later on in the presentation. We know the authorized consumption and unauthorized consumption. We know the authorized consumption is made up of the billed meter consumption, unbilled meter consumption, and unbilled unmetered consumption. That's our revenue water stream, or utilities revenue water stream. Yeah. But what we'd like to speak about this morning is the water losses and apparent and real losses incurred by utilities. And the focus is on unauthorized consumption, metering inaccuracies. Very important. I think most utilities throughout the globe, and especially Africa, huge challenges with data handling errors, and then the real losses, leakage and overflows at utility and storage tanks, and service connections. In terms of Itron's proposed structure and strategy for mitigating and challenging non-revenue projects, the plan is to, first of all, with utilities, look at your current situation, define strategy based on your current situation, implement a project to tackle apparent losses, and then work on eradicating. Remember, we're not going to totally eradicate apparent or real losses, but we want to reduce them. Very important, and I know that most utilities in South Africa and Africa have challenges with resources, but very important that in order for this project, or for this holistic approach to be successful, we need to have a dedicated team to secure the water utility revenue. The field activities must be reported on daily. Progress must be reported on daily. Findings must be reported on a daily basis in order to monitor the progress. And it's equally important that whatever non-revenue water process or project you put in place, it doesn't operate in isolation. It mustn't operate as a standalone. So you must be somehow integrated or connected to your billing software so that you can get the meter reading values on a real time and on a daily basis. Critical to the success of this project would be the use of everyday tools for checking your data readings, calculating your metering efficiencies. And the last point is very important. We're busy with a pilot currently, and it's staggering to see how many meters are either oversized or undersized, and this is just within one utility. So getting the tools for improving efficiency by managing sizing and replacements of your installed meter base. This slide it's very common to utilities across the globe. Not even the most powerful software in the world can replace a good meter to report consumption. So it's very important that your metering point be effective, that you have the correct meter for the correct application. So if you are recording bad information, you will report bad information. And who will be impacted by non-revenue water projects. I think first of all the consumer. There's a school of thought that says in South Africa or Africa, there's a culture of non-payment. But we'd like to challenge that and say that if consumers are metered correctly and billed efficiently, they would be willing to pay. Your metering department will be impacted, your field teams will be impacted. It will have a definite impact on your organizational workflows. The management will be impacted in the sense that the knowledge and the information that's brought back from the fields, they will be able to better plan their daily output. What defines the strategy? It's very important to note that a non-revenue water project is not a one-shoe-fits-all. The strategy is defined based on the utilities priorities, based on the country or region. It's also, I mentioned earlier, the challenge that utilities have with resources, so it's based on the resources available. And it's very important that, mutual experiences across similar projects be shared in order to analyze the project before anything is started. Some of the terminology I think most of the engineers in the room are familiar with. I'll just repeat it for everyone's benefit. We all know flow rate is equal to volume at time. Counted volume is equal to, the real volume is equal to the real quantity consumed. Accounted volume is the volume or the quantity accounted for. And the meter error is the accounted volume minus the real volume in percentage. That makes sense? Yeah? Okay. In terms of, we're going to move on to smart meter choices now, not smart meters. This is not a smart meter presentation. In terms of smart meter choices, it's very important, and you note on top there, I said sensitivity depends on manufacturer. The graph in front of us shows the envelope, flow rate envelope, and the meter accuracy curve. It's very important that for a non-revenue water project to be successful, your meter types be considered to be the correct meter types for the correct applications, and you'd want your meters to start measuring as early as possible so that they detect flows and measurements as early as possible. From where to start? Some of the serious challenges where apparent losses are concerned. Most of this information that you see here, I could be saying that I'm preaching to the converted. Eliminating metering errors that comes from aging. Most of us know that in the South African market, some of the domestic meters have been installed for more than 30, 40 years. Inappropriate meter installation, meter oversizing I mentioned earlier, meter out of service. And I'll continue with that. Meter bypass and other frauds, additional unregistered connections, disconnected customers illegally reconnected. The list can go on. Water theft on hydrants, eliminating estimation errors in unmetered consumption. These are most of the challenges common to utilities facing huge non-revenue water losses. I spoke about the smart meter choice earlier, and it's critical. The choice of meter type that fits in the type of installation. Where Itron is concerned, single jet or multi-jet type meters needs to be installed in the horizontal position to measure accurately. The volumetric and static type meters can be installed in any position to measure accurately. And it's very important to note that your installation teams need to get the relevant training and appropriate training to do the installation effectively, whether they be in-house teams or contracting teams.